Okay, friends, it is Miss Fitzgerald here for Math for Today. So we are going to start with our Unlock the Problem. So here we go. Students were making larger shapes out of triangles and squares. They put away all 72 triangles. There were still 48 triangles on the carpet. How many triangles and squares were on the carpet when they started? I'm going to read it one more time. Students were making larger shapes out of triangles and squares. They put away all 72 triangles. There were still 48 squares on the carpet. How many triangles and squares were on the carpet when they started? Okay, so first we have to think about what do we know and what is important. So looking at the problem, what do we know? I know that the students put away 42 triangles, but they still had their 48 squares on the carpet, right? And I think that's really important to know because I'm trying to figure out how many triangles and squares were on the carpet when they started. What are we trying to find and what is the question? So as I just said, right, we are trying to figure out how many triangles and squares were on the carpet when they started. So when they first put them out, when they were making their shapes, before they put away the 72 triangles, how many triangles and squares were on the carpet when they started? So that's the question, right, friends? So the question is right here. How many triangles and squares were on the carpet? Having a hard time underlining here. When they started. Okay. And then what is the unit? What is the unit? So it'd be triangles and squares, right? We're trying to figure out how many triangles and squares there were. Okay. So how will we use the information to solve the problem? So you have to really think through this problem to figure out what type of operation I need to do to figure out how many were on the carpet before they started. Since it tells me what they put away, I can take that number of triangles and that number of squares, and I can put those together to figure out how many were on the carpet before they started. Okay. So now it's time to solve, friends, and that's your job, right? I've talked through the problem with you, so you should be able to go ahead and solve it. And you want to make sure you answer in a complete sentence. So if the question was how many triangles and squares were on the carpet when they started, once you solve it and figure it out, you want to say there were blank triangles and squares on the carpet when they started. Good luck. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of fluency practice before we jump into our lesson for today. So we're thinking about how many tens and then how many hundreds. So 21s is how many tens? Okay, so I can figure this out because here is my ones place, right? And then here would be my tens place. So 21s is the same as 2 tens. I'm just looking at the tens place. 28 ones has 2 tens. It doesn't quite have 3 tens, right? It's 2 tens and 8 ones. 64 ones has 6 tens. And then 99 ones is almost 10 tens, right? But not quite. It has 9 tens. And then how many hundreds? So me looking at this place isn't going to be as helpful initially as it was over here, right? Because 15 tens, we have to figure out what is that number. So 15 tens is really 150. So now I have my ones, my tens, and my hundreds. So it has 100. 29 tens is really 290. And in 290, there are 2 hundreds. For 78 tens, it's really 780. And in 780, there are 7 hundreds. Okay, so there's our fluency for today. Okay, so now moving into our lesson. As a review, we're thinking about equal shares or parts. So if I split a shape in half, that means it would have 2 equal parts. Thirds means it would have 3 equal parts or shares. Fourths is 4 equal parts or shares. Okay, so we are really zooming in and focusing on halves and 2 equal shares. Okay, so to start, we are going to split these shapes, so partition the shapes to show halves, and then we're just going to shade 1/2 of each. So remember, it needs to be fair, right? It has to have 2 equal sides to be halves. And of course, my lines might not be perfect, but I'm going to split these right in half, trying to be as close to the middle as possible. Okay, and I don't have to just go vertically, right? I can go horizontally. Oops, that's a little rough as well. Okay, so now I want to shade in half of each. So that just means one of the halves, one of the equal shares. So I'm not going to fill them all in, friends, just because time's sake. This is not the easiest tool to use, but I'd be shading in 1/2 of each. So one of my equal shares is filled in. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so now we are going to circle the shapes that have 2 equal shares. So if I had 2 people who needed a piece, they would each get the same exact amount. And then would they have one of the shares shaded? We're doing some practice now. So I'm looking at each of these. So this one looks like it is split with 2 equal shares. One is shaded. I'm looking at this one. So I'm thinking if I had 2 people, and let's say this was a piece of cake, right? If I got this piece, I would probably not be that happy, right? Because it's not an equal share. This piece is smaller than that piece. So not that one, right? This one looks like it's split into equal shares. And this one as well. So there's only one that doesn't have 2 equal shares with one shaded. Okay, so we're going to do some more practice here, okay? So we are looking for the shapes that are split into 2 equal shares. 2 equal shares. So I'm looking at A, and I see that there are 2 pieces, so it is split in half with 2 equal shares. And one is shaded in for us, but it's not required, but it kind of went ahead and did that. I'm looking at B. Again, not 2 equal shares, right? This is not split in half. Same for C, not 2 equal shares, not split in half. For D, it looks like it's equal shares, right? but it's split to 3 equal shares. This is thirds, so that's not split into 2 equal shares or parts. E, I would say yes. F, yeah, 2 equal shares, right? Same for G. People would be happy if this was a pizza and you were splitting it in half. Everybody would get a half. H is split into 2 equal shares. Let me look at I. This piece definitely looks smaller, right? This I is not split into 2 equal shares or parts. Okay, and that's it, friends. So today we were focusing on 2 equal shares, right? So split in half, both halves are the same size, or would it be equal shares? So you are doing math worksheet day 6, May 4th, where you'll be working on identifying shapes that are split into 2 equal shares and then shading half one of the equal shares, shading half, okay? So go ahead and get to work on that. Make sure you take a picture and send it to your teacher. Have a great day.